And welcome back to the cast test for Rogue versus Misfits Gaming. The very first game in our match was heavily in favor of Rogue. The draft from Misfits was unable to be executed effectively, and Rogue ended up Goomba stomping their way to a 1-0 lead.
Where did you learn that?
The kids taught it to me, a Nintendo Switch. Now, as we go into game 2, Misfits did have side selection. They elected red side again. Do you think we'll see big changes in the draft here? Like, how do you think they approach this? Because individually, I don't think the players delivered to their expectations.
I felt like the picks and bans were right. Maybe if we take away the Ashe, I want something more hands-on from Kobbe. We need to see the entire team on fire. It can't just be HiRit and HiRit alone, and them choosing red side again.
And especially not with the performance we just saw from HiRit's Gnar. Being punished early from a gank by Inspired and then just being outclassed by Odoamne's Tahm Kench. Now, as we go into picks and bans, Larssen, Thresh, and Syndra were Rogue's 3 bans in game 1. Twisted Fate, Callista, and Varus were Misfits Gaming. I always like to see how or if the teams adapt, and out the gate, it's the same so far.
I don't think we will see a huge different story. That's going to be Callista and Varus for sure. For the side of Misfits, you definitely do not want to be giving Hansama any lane prior, but then you have to deal with the Ziggs, and then you have to deal with his Draven. And I feel like the Ashe could not deal with any of the two, so maybe they will end up banning the Ziggs here, because they can also flex it into mid lane for the side. No, it's going to be the Lucian.
So that means Varus is open and available and near insta-lock here on the side of Rogue. As I take a quick look at Hansama, 42 games played on Varus. This is his 43rd all-time. A 65% win ratio on that champion. And this summer, a 25 KDA, 4 wins, and 0 losses.
100% win rate.
Yeah, good luck.
It's really hard, but that gives Razork one of the strongest junglers in the meta right now, which is that Zhao. Possibly could be paired up with something like the LeBlanc now that the Lucian is no longer a factor right here. You also have the Akali. You have these really strong champions that Vetheo likes to play and take control of his lane with. Whoa!
Direction will they go? Now, Camille was banned away in the previous game, and we heard Zanzara talking.
That was the second phase, though.
Well, it was indeed.
That's a blind Camille.
But how important or how integral it can be. So HiRit will be running that Camille, 2 games played this summer already.
Yeah, and I don't know, man. HiRit didn't have the best performance in game number 1, and now he's blind picking a Camille, which means that Odoamne doesn't necessarily have to play weak side this time for Rogue. He can choose a counter pick into the Camille, but when Misfits really struggle in a game, they will make sure to lock their top side of the map and prioritize them. And we talked about how important it is for Vetheo to be on something like the Syndra and the LeBlanc.
I mean, let's talk about this top side. Zhao to enable and work with Camille and LeBlanc, those are terrifying 2v2s. And at the top of the day, we had expectations that if Misfits were to look for a way to unseat Rogue's early game, Razork plus Vetheo were the way to do it, and they've got champions that can.
Yeah, and the thing that comes to mind as we're approaching Worlds is that Larssen is an A-class, S-class Azir player. And right now, Misfits have locked in 2 melee champions that want to all in. And then they will have no other way in once they're in the fight. So I'm keeping my eyes open for possibly maybe seeing something like this here. There's also like potential for the Orianna or the Victor.
Well, a number of options for Larssen. When you look at the engage tools, pretty hard engage, or at least direct, like single champion flanking tools available to Misfits, disengage tools on the side of Rogue. And it's Tahm Kench and Rice that find themselves in the ban pool. Ezreal and Alistar removed from Rogue towards Misfits Gaming. And Misfits now need to lock in either one of their safer ADs, something that they're comfortable running into Varus, and maybe saving their support pick for last, or alternatively denying one of the engaged tools that Trymbi has used to great effect with
that second Rakan is pretty good, playing into Braum. He's in, he's out, he disrupts him, done. And also Kobbe does like to play the Xayah, so if they want to pair this up with each other, they absolutely can. On the other hand, I'm just looking at Larssen and I'm like, what do you want to play mid? Because it has to be, that Viego has to be paired up with possibly a mage mid. And if the Renekton gets locked in for Odoamne into the Camille, then Larssen, your choices are Orianna, Victor. You have a Kali, but do you want to play a Kali here?
Ooh, interesting. We've seen the Lissandra into LeBlanc several times in the past. Is that mage pick you were looking for? And this is something that Larssen is particularly
Please lock this in.
Comfortable on. If this Malzahar does get locked in, I'll take a quick look through the stats. It is not. Instead, 4th time this summer on the Orianna, 2 games wins under his belt. And the Orianna is the 5th most played champion for Larssen with a 78% win ratio career long. So pretty well-rounded. It was that mage that we were talking about, and a little bit of safety in that bottom lane. The Xayah added to Vander's Rakan.
Okay, so these teams, it's pretty obvious what they want to do. Misfits are like, we're going all in this game. They've got engaged from the Camille, the Zhao, the Rakan, and then they've got the Xayah and the LeBlanc to complement the damage wherever they need it. On the other side, Rogue is peel. The second they come towards us, they have all these protective tools around them to protect their 2 carries.
And of course, when you think about how Misfits want to play this game, they need to execute on those engages with all of the disengage tools, with all the reactionary abilities on Rogue. They can get punished so hard if they bite off more than they can chew.
Yeah, but pre-6, LeBlanc Zhao is arguably stronger than the Orianna Viego, so we might see a lot of blood. Game 1, there was a lot of blood around Vetheo's lane and in Vetheo's lane. I'm expecting to see the same thing here.
All right, well, let's see whether or not Vetheo this time around can get an advantage. Of course, in the previous game, a few early decisions from Rogue gave them enough of a lead to snowball that, to accelerate the advantage, and it ended in a 28-minute win. If Rogue pick up another here, they are 1 Nexus away from an upper match against either G2 or MAD, and importantly, they will guarantee themselves that seat at the World Championship. We're going to load onto Summer Split in just a moment for Rogue taking on Misfits Gaming. Welcome to Summer Split for game number 2 in this best of 5. Larssen will be playing that Orianna, and we'll be going up against Vetheo's LeBlanc. And I think one of the things I'd like to take a moment just to talk about is just how different these 2 junglers are when you look at their early game influence and impact, especially for how important they are to the team, right? Now, please do not misunderstand, right? Inspired is a fantastic early game jungler, but Rogue can win with him. They work as a team. They move around the map exceptionally well. When you look at these stats, kill participation at 15, 82% for Razork. There was a period of 8 or 9 games in a row where he was involved in every first blood. Deaths at 50, look how high they are. Goal difference, significant. The thing is, if something happens early on Misfits, it has to be with Razork.
That's the difference between these 2. Clearly, they are the 2 playmakers, but Rogue can play from their lanes as well as from Inspired, whilst Misfits are sort of one-dimensional where they have to play through Razork.
Yes, and that's exactly it. And of course, if we were looking at that graphic, unfortunately, I did have the players on the wrong side of the rift. Razork is, in fact, on the Zhao on the red side, on the left side on the blue. So I put that together. Vetheo already in lane. Gonna have a little bit of a tough time. Those level 1 trades against the Clockwork Wind-Up is so frustrating. Winter's Bite from Trymbi can just slow Kobbe down. In the previous game, they were able to jump towards an early level 2. And I think this time around with HiRit on the Camille, with the Grasp, Odo, Conqueror on that Renekton, could be interesting to see how this lane plays out, especially with how unimpactful, non-impactful, non-helpful HiRit was in the previous game. That's where everybody's going to be watching to see whether or not he can make his Camille work.
Yeah, it was very unfortunate as well because Inspired read the map so well and shut him down instantly. And right now it is going to be Inspired moving towards the top side of the map. If you look on your screen, Odoamne is going to crash in a wave right now. He wasn't able to stack these 3 waves that we always talk about for a potential dive right there. But again, pushing HiRit underneath his tower. Odoamne is going to have to be careful here. He is on the Renekton, and Razork is heading towards the top side of the map.
It is indeed. In spite of the Viego relatively nearby, Vetheo continues to get pushed in. No noticeable CS difference in the mid lane. In the bottom, advantage to Hansama. Currently, small advantage to Odo. Obviously, as HiRit is catching that wave. And I actually didn't realize just how many minions were in front of Kobbe and Vander. So they'll be able to pick up a number of these and close that deficit. But I keep my eyes on that mini-map. Both junglers in the top quadrant. That ward in the tri-bush will reveal.
Razork is just about to get double scuttle crabbed right here. Unless he sprints it down bot after this camp, because he knows Orianna has priority, which means his Spider will run at the tops of the map. Razork needs to leave his wraiths and sprint it down to the scuttle crab.
Is he going to do that? That's the question. Instead, stepping into the river, pops the sweeper, and Inspired will make a first move. Once again, this is rinse and repeat of game number 1. Inspired was able to come in right behind HiRit. HiRit does have that hook shot available to him and flash. You look at the mini-map, Razork can make it through the river. It's not going to matter. First blood will be able to be picked up in just a moment. HiRit down below 100 HP. Tactical sweep flashes away. He stays alive. HiRit's able to just get out of range. Now, while that's going on, Vander gets the knockup, manages to catch and force Hansama's flash away. But that's a stun onto Vander. Kobbe continues to chase. Nobody goes down just yet, but Summer Spell's blown in the bottom lane.
And very important when Inspire was taking topside Scuttle Crab, because Hansama and Trymbi had built up 2.5 waves in front of Kobbe's and Vander's tower. They were able to move up the river and take the second Scuttle Crab, which means more gold for the side of Hansama. Of course, right now on a pushing lane such as the Varus lane, you definitely want to have summoners right there. So this is something that Rogue will have to be careful of.
Be wary of it. This time round, Misfits mechanically show up. They are able to survive. Kobbe is going to get tagged out by that E. Flashes away already. Kobbe sticking around in lane, loses his Summer Spell. Now teleports into the top. HiRit's going to use that passive to stay alive just long enough for Vetheo to arrive. Very nicely done with the W, and Vetheo and Misfits pick up first blood.
Twice in a row, 2 games in a row, the breath, the life coming out of Misfits is not Razork, it's Vetheo. He's making things happen on the map. He enables Razork for plays. He enables HiRit in his lane, instantly TPs in to punish Odoamne, and then they want bot lane as well.
Well, this is the caster curse, of course. Remember that no flash Varus you just talked about, Trouble? Razork this time around is able to punish it, picking up a kill in that bottom. It lands in Kobbe's hands. There's a big wave that will be denied, or at least picked up here by Trymbi, denied to Hansama.
And again, very clever from the side of Misfits and Razork in particular to go towards the bot side of the map. You see a play from Misfits towards the top side of the map, you have to assume that Razork is around. This guy creates the plays for his team. Little do you know, Razork is not on the top side of the map. He's lurking because Hansama lost his summoners and instantly capitalizes on him. This is what Misfits needs. This is the Misfits of Razork and Vetheo, and the energy they bring into the team and the kills and all that proactiveness in the early game.
Yeah, they just started 1 game late. Now the chains will not tag Larssen, forces out the flash because of the threat from Vander. And for Misfits, very, very important to show in the first 5 minutes that they
flash
can
down.
Bounce back from the game 1 defeat. And just like you said, Trouble, highlighting the advantages and more importantly, creating opportunities to punish further, right? No flashes means there's targets, there's options for Razork, for Vetheo to jump onto, and potentially HiRit once his TP and ultimate becomes available.
Ooh, and Inspired was spotted on the top side of the map. That will give Razork the freedom to possibly either try for a counter gank or move towards the bot side of the map himself, because he knows exactly where Inspired is going to be heading. He finished top side, he's moving towards bot, and Larssen has to burn his ult to push in the wave.
Yeah, maintaining some level of I think distance from Vetheo. I think it's fair to say that Vetheo this game has been in Larsen's face the entire time. Every time we look at that lane, Vetheo's trading aggressively, trading his HP. It's allowed him to move a little bit earlier as well, and that's why Misfits have got this 1,000 gold advantage. And this is just a very stellar start. So as we look further forward for the next few minutes, how do you want to see Razork, the rest of Misfits, making use of the comp they have?
they actually don't, there's like no summoners on the side of Rogue, so all they can do is just play aggressive just like this. They've got the tools, they have the Rakan, they have the Zinzo, they have the LeBlanc. Take them around the map and absolutely punish them, and then the next thing they know, Inspired is bot lane, they want to steal away his red buff, and they have the numbers advantage to do that. Hansama is dead, no teleport.
Well, moving into the jungle, Vetheo is roaming. Got level 6 available to him, looking down the barrel of a level 4 Trymbi. Larssen, no shockwave, no TP, so Misfits stamping authority in the early game. Steal away the red buff, pick up their 3rd kill. 1 for Vetheo, 1 for Kobbe, and 1 for Vander, and that will equate to 1,500 gold.
Last game, we saw something that we've never seen from Rogue. They played topside. This game, we've seen something that we don't necessarily really see from Misfits. They're playing bot side. We said we want to see their entire map activated, and Misfits are acting on that alone. Look at Kobbe, he's ahead in a lane that he should technically be shoved underneath his tower in, and that's due to that early aggression from Razork coming in, punishing Hansama, and punishing him over again, together with Vander's Rakan.
And remember, it was Hansama and Trymbi that left bottom lane to pick up Scuttle, and then got jumped on, right?
Yeah.
Misfits created the skirmish that gave them the advantage. And for Misfits, this means that now they're going to look to press this lead. It is still a difficult team to play into. Remember the disengage tools on Rogue's composition, and while yes, there is a lead, it's not significant enough for Misfits to feel comfortable. But it's very good to see them bounce back from the defeat. It's good to see now this time around they have advantages where they want them to be. And of course, with the fact that now your top half of the map all have their ultimates, the ability to skirmish and playmake goes up exponentially.
Absolutely. Inspired right here is going to choose to take the Rift Herald. You see that Braum has already started moving towards the top side of the map. There's 3 members for Rogue in the river, 2 only for Misfits.
Razork goes in, smites it away. Does manage to use the ultimate by some time. Vetheo jumps onto Larssen, but there's enough members from Rogue to join the fight. Vetheo forced to use that distortion to safety, and HiRit by some time with Hextech Ultimatum. He's taken out 2 deaths for the Herald. That Herald needs to be damn well worth it in order for this play to come back. A kill to Inspired and a kill to Larssen.
Yeah, we mentioned that Rogue had more members in that river, so it was extremely hard for Misfits to try and force a fight being a member down. Luckily for Misfits though, Razork steals the objective, which he gave 2 lives for, and very crucially, they've lost a lot of experience in gold topside because Odoamne had shoved in that wave. Again, you see there's 3 members in the river already. HiRit is outside. He cannot join the fight at this point, and by the time that he does join, Razork is way too low. He's already used his ultimate, and Rogue just pile up on him, instantly punishing. And even though, yes, the bot lane has already started making their way up, they're extremely late.
Now, of course, the potential is there to make back that gold, right? A plate gank using that Rift Herald can be very influential, but again, the onus of execution is going to be on the side of Misfits as they continue again to play fast and loose, I think. What was the word you would say? Skirmish, skirmish heaven, skirmish style.
Skirmish city.
Skirmish city, that was the word I was looking for. Misfits definitely kind of embodying that mentality in game 2.
Absolutely, and this is how you're forcing your opponents to make mistakes, when you make calculated ganks, when you know they're gonna work the same way Razork knew he was gonna work on Hansama down the bot lane. This is where you force Rogue's hand, you see the reactions, and so far Rogue's reactions have been a little bit slower than game 1, which has led in Misfits having that tiny bit of advantage, but it being Rogue, they've instantly closed down the gap.
They have indeed. Larssen's gonna flash away, but still gets caught up by the ethereal chain. That shockwaves a sombrero. Crescent Guard comes up from Razork. He dives underneath the tower. Yes, he picked up the kill, but he donates another one to Inspired. And I think importantly, maybe prevents the opportunity to throw down that Herald, as the kill was not that clean.
Yeah, and a lot of kills onto the Viego is never good news, but Razork saw the opportunity right there, because this is the lane they play through. Yeah. Vetheo had all the priority right there. They have shoved in the wave. They need to punish Larssen. Now Larssen is dead, which means that all that wave that crashed in, it was Inspired for the taking.
Yeah, it really was. And of course now, because of how Rogue have bounced back, they've got themselves an even gold. And because of the kill you're about to see, Divine Sunder has been completed by Inspired.
Razork as well. And Larssen, he was very clever. Yes. Razork waited until he dashed in. Unfortunately, he used the shockwave a little bit too soon, but it was a clever play right there for Larssen to wait.
I'm so glad you pointed that out, because when I was doing the play-by-play, intentionally, I went on the more...
It looked like a sombrero, but it wasn't. It was intentional.
And of course it was. And you could feel it anticipating Razork diving. And it's a good sign. Larssen really sort of understanding what his opponents are doing. HiRit's going to be able to use that hook shot to safety and escapes a theoretical gank. But as I mentioned, Divine Sunderer picked up here for Misfits, for Inspired already. Misfits will be able to pick up the first dragon. Now this Herald is getting close to timing out. You have to feel maybe the bottom lane's the pressure. Look, Vetheo's making a move. Teleport's available. HiRit, teleport available as well. And he's backing Trouble.
Oh, Handsama and Trymbi are in a lot of trouble, but there is double teleports on the side of Rogue. And look at Odoamne, he's hiding into a bush. You could potentially see him TP down. And Larssen is waiting with his hand on the trigger. They're just going to cash in the money and leave. I think this is the wisest choice. Give more gold for Kobbe, get more gold into this Xayah. I think that Kobbe is just receiving so much attention in this game. This guy has to carry. Well,
Misfits are sticking around. Trymbi engages. That's the dash forward and the ultimate with the flash committed. Crescent Guard buys a little bit of time. Here comes Vander down with the quickness, but it's Razork that's already dead. Kobbe's trying to fire the feathers forward, but Inspired heart breaks Misfits. Now on the backside, Vetheo's caught up by the shockwave. Kobbe stays alive just a few seconds longer. 1, 2, 3 Misfits are down for the cost of Handsama alone.
Whoa, actually a play initiated by Misfits to put down the Herald turns back onto its head because Rogue called in the cavalry. Everyone was there. They instantly jumped onto Razork, who is their front line in this game. And once your front line is gone, everyone else from Misfits just melts away. 4 kills into Inspired's Viego.
I mean, that is terrifying. 100% kill participation right now.
Whoa, was that a shield bow?
It is a shield bow picked up there by Handsama's Varus. Talk about that in just a moment. I also think, for what it's worth, that HiRit's teleport was interrupted, if I read that correctly.
Well, he's all the way to the base, so
no, he actually chose not to fight.
He just chose not to fight because Odoamne again is shoving another wave into his tower, and Kobbe could not enter the fight. I feel like Misfits have this habit of starting fights when Kobbe is not around, or shall I turn it the other way of the coin and say Kobbe's positioning is not ideal when Misfits fight?
Yeah, I think he was a little bit cut off trying to get into the jungle there, and you have to ask the question, was it worth sticking around for that red buff? You know, that was the decision that was made. Now, as we come into that replay, the shield bow was picked up here by Handsama's
Very
Varus.
interesting.
Not going to be that poke build that we've seen a lot, but I do think it kind of makes sense when you look at Camille, Zhao, LeBlanc, and you consider Renekton, a giga-fed Viego right now. Maybe Handsama doesn't need to be that carry,
I think
right?
Handsama should have taken the back seat right here. He's like, it's fine. All I need to do is survive because they're most likely going to be jumping onto Handsama with the LeBlanc and with the Camille locking him down or onto Larssen. And as you can see, having the shield ball right there gives another layer of protection, especially when his summoners are not up and available to survive long enough for Rogue to turn this around. Saying all this, gold is still almost dead even. Misfits have managed to keep themselves into this game. They've got a really good composition going into the latter stage of the game. They go backline access, and they have found Inspired.
Well, they're going to jump onto him. Hextech Ultimatum comes out. This is a 2v2 for now. There's support coming from the river. Inspired has stayed alive for so incredibly long. He's hiding in the mist, running for his life.
HiRit.
Now Odo's trying to join him as well. That is the shutdown to HiRit's Camille. But he bought so much time. While that's going on, Larssen left uncontested in the mid lane.
Left uncontested in the mid lane, but Vetheo has not lost anything yet because he made sure his wave is pushed. So they will take the kill, they will take the Herald, which will most likely result in a tower. Vetheo doesn't lose much into his in his mid lane because he's actually back to catch up on that wave. On the other side, you see that Kobbe respects the play on the other side of the map. Backs off of his tower. Yes, he gets a little bit deprived of gold and experience, but it's fine.
It is fine because ultimately they got the kill top. This is the cost, so to speak. Rift Herald was picked up here. Now that tower took an absolute beating, which we'll get a glimpse at in a moment.
And again, Inspired here, yes, you have Trymbi coming up from the bot side, but Inspired is all alone into this river, and he has to even use his ultimate to get away, which means that initially HiRit and Razork have the first hand into this team fight, as Inspired had already used his ultimate. And when he tries to run away, you can never run away from a Camille. They also bring Vetheo and Vander just to make sure they secure, and a huge shutdown going into that Camille.
I think it's a really good point you bring up. Really difficult to run away from this Misfits composition. When you see the LeBlanc, the Rakan, the Camille, there are a lot of tools that if Rogue are not able to stand their ground and go full Leonidas 300 defend, they can be in trouble as the mobility from Misfits allows them to pick off stragglers, right?
It's just so important. We've mentioned how Rogue have built a front-to-back, if you will, composition, a kiting composition. When you're missing specific tools for the kiting, such as the Orianna with the Shockwave, such as the Braum with the Unbreakable and the Ultimate, then your kiting capabilities are not there yet. And with Renekton and Inspire getting caught onto the Viego, it gives a very easy 2v2 for the side of Misfits on the top side of the map. Now they're pulling everyone down for this Dragon. Misfits are serious. They've got their first mythic items locked and loaded. They've got their vision down, locked and loaded. And Rogue are like, we don't have to take this risk.
Nope.
They don't have to give any more kills because Misfits are strong at this point.
Not for the second Dragon, right? Yes, this is the second game. It's at 18 minutes. The game is still very, very close. Rogue have all of the tools that they need to outplay Misfits, and they also have a gold lead right now. They're just about to take a tower as well. This will be the second of the game in favor of Rogue, but I do love the fact of playing for an Infernal Soul. Both of these compositions are going to be so happy if they can get themselves towards that objective.
I have to give also massive props to Odoamne for the way he's playing this game right now. The second HiRit leaves the lane, he will hard shove that top lane wave underneath the tower. He will wait with hitting the tower for all the minions, or as many as they can, to die first, to deprive all this farm and experience from HiRit. HiRit ends up being one level down off of the Renekton.
Yeah, I mean, very nicely done. 1-1-1. Itemization-wise, like effective combat power, it's going to be relatively the same here. Gale Force was picked up by Kobbe. Again, one of those mobility tools. Get himself out of dodge if he needs to combine with that ultimate as well.
That's really worth to mention here is how Hansama is catfishing Misfits right now.
Okay.
He's like, I'm the juiciest. I might have no summoners in some fights, but when LeBlanc dives in, I'll have a wit's end and a shield bow. Good luck getting through that, which makes me think that Vetheo's target right now has to be Larssen. Once the ball goes down, once the shockwave goes down, once the shields go down, the backline access will slowly but surely get easier for Misfits.
And I mean, these fights are going to be very, very intriguing, as we can see. Misfits were able to pick up a tower in the bottom lane. Kobbe shoves that one in. HiRit, with the help of the second Rift Herald, will take down the second tower. So that evens us up in the game between Rogue and Misfits. Misfits are now hunting themselves a crocodile. No flash for Odo.
4 people from Rogue down bot.
Is available. Keep your eyes in the mid lane because Kobbe is left alone mid. Hextech Ultimatum just means Odo will get run down. I mean, that is everything and the kitchen sink thrown to kill Odo. It's about sending a message, it's about securing the kill, it's about securing the tower, and for Misfits, the lead.
And honestly, we praise Rogue for being really quick on the rotations. I felt like the rotation right there was just a tiny bit slow, especially since they had seen that Rift Herald had been popped topside and Odoamne gets dived underneath his tier 2 tower. That was very well played by Misfits. They're pushing Rogue to their limits. They're pushing Rogue's finger to play these skirmish fights, and this is what we wanted from the start. We wanted Rogue to get scrappy, to play skirmishes, and Misfits right now are playing Rogue in their own game.
And I think importantly for Misfits to step up to the challenge, right? Because Rogue's early game is very well documented. Everybody watching has heard us talk about it.
Yeah.
But Misfits in game 1, they were overrun by both on an individual and on a team level. This time around, they were able to survive some of those initial fights. And now you can see how Misfits are a little bit more, let's say, fast and loose with how they try to press the advantage. It's a 1,500 gold lead, a 4-man stack, correction, 5-man stack in the mid lane will unlock the 4th tower of the game.
Again, beautiful. You see Hansama topside, there's no way he's alone, so you have to count at least 2 people on the top side of the map for Rogue. You see Odoamne down bot, you bunch up as a 5-man, you push down mid, you take down the tower, you start pushing your vision into Rogue's territory.
I mean, that's well played by Misfits. They recognize the setup,
Absolutely.
right? Recognize that Hansama's up top, recognize Odo's down. It allowed them to react quickly enough. It is also 90 seconds until the Dragon, and all of a sudden Vetheo will be able to survive a few seconds longer, gets caught up by the Fisher, and he was looking for the kill into Hansama. This is what you were talking about just a little bit ago. Not going to work out.
I think that was a little bit griefing right there from Vetheo. You know there is Trymbi and Inspired around, instantly gets chained, and we talked about this. Wit's End and Shield Bow even if he was alone, I really doubt that with full summoners, Hand Sama would have gone down. Misfits want to try their chances right now because all the ultimates are down on the top side.
Well, 3v3, let's fight. No flash sitting there for Trymbi.
It's not going to be a 3v3.
Razork's going to continue chasing. Teleports now coming in here from
Odoamne.
Odoamne. Vander throws down the quickness. 2 more teleports being channeled to the top lane. Here it's going to join the fray. 3 members this time round. The Winter's Bite was just a little bit early. Hextech Ultimate's already come down. Odoamne's already dead.
LeBlanc
Now Vetheo has rejoined the fight. But what can Misfits do? I mean, so many summoners were used, and Larssen will be taken out. The kill is secured by HiRit. Will this open up Baron? Vetheo continues the chase. He's managed to catch out Trymbi. Trymbi's going to be able to stand behind me with Hans Summer, trying to buy some time. 1, 2, 3 members of Rogue go down, and Misfits are turning for Baron.
Rogue time has been activated. We mentioned it. It's over 20 minutes, and Rogue overextend yet again. Instantly punished. Slap on the hand, and the Baron is gonna belong to Misfits. I'm sorry, Trevor, but I'm getting deja vu of their first game this season.
Now, the thing is, that slap on the hand led to Baron. Obviously, the teleports being available for Rogue may have made them feel a little more comfortable.
Vetheo's death was calculated because he took three ultimates from the side of Rogue for 1 death. So what do Misfits do? They're like, they have no ultimates to defend themselves and peel back. So we're gonna play aggressive. They single out Odoamne, and you see Razork, beautiful ultimate to push Odoamne back, charges onto someone else, pushes the Renekton back, instantly punished, but then HiRit with an incredible long-range play onto Larssen to catch him up. You cannot run away from a Camille.
I think calculated punish on the ultimates being down.
Vetheo wasn't griefing, it was calculated.
No, you cannot say that at all. Vetheo got punished for making an aggressive play, but I love the bounce back. Obviously, we are joking just a little bit here, and this is a very, very Misfits style. 3 dragons picked up as well. They've got the Baron in their back pocket, and look at the minimap. HiRit is pushing in the bottom lane. The rest of Misfits trying to hold Rogue at bay. This will allow them to just fall back, fall south, and try to take that inner turret if they want to.
They just have to play on one quadrant of the jungle because there are just no teleports available for Misfits. So they can't play the 1-3-1 with a Baron buff on every single lane because they won't be able to reach in time if Rogue chooses to pull the trigger on one of these side lanes. So they take the slow, the steady approach. Their teamfight looks great. They've got all the engaged tools.
Vander is going to get chopped down. This time round, there's no objectives to play for, so despite the investment on the ultimate, just a poor decision for recalling, and it gets punished by Rogue.
Yeah, I think he had the Baron buff on him, so he's like, recalling is really quick, so I should be able to get out, and HiRit.
Yeah, good call outs.
HiRit redeeming himself for that last game. Now up a level on Odoamne, 12,000 damage.
We're at it again.
This fight, and oh no.
Well, let's see. No flash for Vetheo. No level 16. That's the distortion down. That's not good enough. The Mimic on the distortion. Ethereal Chains. Jumping back to the original W, jumping back to the original R. I'm not going to get too excited. This kill is just a moment away because Vetheo is running to the waiting hands of Larssen. If one of these 3 don't pick it up, Larssen will. So Vetheo cut down where he stands, and now all of a sudden those Baron-empowered sieges and pushes, they've just fizzled into nothing.
I've got a bunch of question mark pings in my head right now because I don't know. Again, they're trying to pull the 1-3-1 with 3 Baroned up lanes, but it's impossible because they don't have teleports to assist. So right there, you see that Vetheo got jumped on, no one assisted, but luckily for Misfits, because Rogue committed on the top side of the map, they'll take mid, and I'm not sure how close bot is to fallen as well. Bot lane falls as well. So at the end of the day, again, Vetheo sacrifices himself for the greater good.
I think greater good, yes. I think this time round...
I'm not going to call him a griefer again.
I will give you that this time round. I think that was a relatively good cross-map play. You know, set it up. That top lane engage, yeah, interesting. We do have a minute or two, and I think this game really kind of highlights Misfits in their play this season. So excuse me for a brief moment while I go on a bit of a tangent, right? I'm in love with win expectancy, and I've talked about it several times. Win expectancy, we'll take a look at a point in the game, look at the stats of the game, and at 15 minutes, Misfits have a win expectancy of 48%. Now, when they have a lead, they just jump a little bit to 56%, right? That's of the games they play, they have a lead of 50 minutes. But their actual win ratio is higher than both of those numbers. And the reason I want to highlight that, and specifically look at this game, is Misfits are bold, brave, sometimes, let's say dumb, creative in their decision-making. And we've seen those decisions around Elders, those decisions around Barons, like this particular time, committing to that top fight after Vetheo was picked off, it unlocks a giant advantage, and then Misfits have the team fighting and individual ability to close out games once they have some of those
It's
tools.
so important to highlight that win expectancy doesn't take in consideration individual skill. Outplays, and this is what we commend Misfits for having. This is why we say they're so good at team fighting later on, because their individual skill shines through every single player that they have, and they play these team fights. And also, if you look at the compositions as well, when expectancy doesn't take into consideration who scales better.
Well, let's take a look at those, because 3 items completed. Hansammer's got the Rage Blade now, Infinity Edge and Essence Reaver for Kobbe, working towards 3 for both Vetheo as well as Larssen. We're a minute to Dragon. How do you feel these team fights are going to play out?
As you can see on the bot quadrant of the map, Misfits have a couple of wards laid down, and HiRit has his teleport available, so he'll be able to shove out tops of the map. But I'm really looking for a good flank TP from Misfits. They did lay down a ward right now where Wraiths are, and I think Trymbi's... Yeah, Trymbi's... I forgot the name of it. Sweeper, thank you very much. Will run out just in time. So there are 2 wards right now, and what they're pinging it. They're pinging it. There's a ward on the map right now, down here, and they are pinging it for potentially HiRit to get a flank TP.
There's not a huge amount of time left on that ward. The observers flew over it just a moment ago, and now all of a sudden it's Rogue. They've been able to push into the river.
HiRit is running.
They've stepped over the wards. HiRit may not need to teleport. Vetheo doesn't need the flank TP. He's just flanking. And Misfits, now they can push out mid lane. 10 seconds to the Dragon. This is for the Infernal Soul for Misfits. Kobbe's going to continue to push that way forward. And if Misfits decide not to fight, it's only the first Dragon. So Misfits, remember, they don't need to do this, but I feel like they want it. Vetheo's going to get tagged out by that E. HiRit's got the chain, the hook shot to hop over the wall. And it's in fact Misfits that start this one off. Waiting for the engage, waiting for the fight. Where is it going? Dragon down to 2,000. It's picked up by Misfits. They get themselves the soul, but at what cost? That is a fantastic Crescent Guard. It splits up all of Rogue. The shockwave comes out from Larssen. It does so much damage, but it's not enough. The carries are taken down. Everybody on Misfits goes golden. They've got the soul. They've got the ace, and they're going to turn their attention to Rogue's base.
Misfits have done it. We talked about their team fighting prowess. This is where individual talent shines through, and it absolutely did when it counted. Kobbe coming in clutch into this fight. Untouched, they tried to take him down, but they couldn't. HiRit with the flank, they absolutely sandwiched Rogue in this fight.
I need to see a replay of that fight, because there were so many things happening on so many sides. And despite what was, 2, 3 people on that shockwave, it didn't matter. Misfits bounced back to even the series. Oh, I wish I had more time to look at that team fight. Whew, because it was so crucial.
Larssen also landed a huge shockwave in this fight, but once the Infernal goes down, we have to add that damage to the team fight as well. I felt like HiRit played this Camille game so well. Kobbe, so good in the team fights.
For me, this game really, these 2 games so far really highlight the different strengths of the teams. Rogue, calculated, calm, even on the dives, when they were hunting for kills, they were dictating the tempo, right? When you watch the Misfits game, it's a bit more fast and loose and scrappy, but crucially, those initial skirmishes, Misfits didn't die. They were able to outplay them and actually get some advantage.
I think this is what we talked about at the start, right? The momentum. You talked about them coming from the Misfits Premier win. Maybe their momentum is up because of this, because they have to face someone who's much stronger than them in the standings.
We'll find out.
And it shows that they play with so much confidence in each other.
Trouble, we'll have some more games to talk. This means
that was crazy.
2 more. Misfits look like a brand new team in game 2, and when we return, Draco Sanzara will break down the top lane fight that skyrocketed their lead.
Welcome back to the LEC Summer Playoffs. Misfits bounced back in Game 2, and I'm joined by Zanzar for a closer look at a key fight in the top lane that ultimately led to the Misfits Baron. Now, as we get that replay up on your screen, there's a lot to talk about here. This is a very weird fight. I think a lot of people, when they're looking for a breakdown, they think, oh, maybe you'll talk about the Dragon fight. But this one was way more important, and as we get into it, there was a lot of weird things that happened here.
Yeah, I think first of all, I personally thought Misfits is completely in sync, but then Rock somehow into it. So overall, we see like Rock get a really good catch on the Vetheo, and then they overextend for the tower, and Misfits saw this. They tried to collapse, and but we should keep in mind, Rock still have double TP.
Absolutely do.
Yeah, so Misfits need to play slow. They have still 15 seconds, I think, to LeBlanc. So, yeah, they need to play slow or they end up in situation for V5. And
as we start to play the clip out, it's important to note, keep your eyes on those teleport cooldowns. Obviously, we don't have the Orianna or the Renekton into the fight. Here looks incredibly good for Misfits, but we were backstage, Zanzar, and you're like, oh, wait, it's a trap.
Yeah, it's actually a really good point, because yes, Rock had double TP, but Odoamne uses TP first, and then Larssen didn't follow. They don't use double TP insta, so they end up in situation 4v4, and then Odoamne just gets one-shotted completely, and then there is enough time for LeBlanc to respawn and TP too. So the Misfits just get cage after cage, and then it's end up for free Baron for Misfits, and they get like critical lead, I think, in this game.
Yeah, this is a crazy play and a crazy turnaround, and I think it was really good that you look specifically at the LeBlanc death timer, how much time Misfits were able to buy by using Vander, using that ultimate very early on from Larssen, just to make sure that Odoamne could get nothing done. And overall, it feels like this game we're seeing a completely different Misfits, a much cleaner team overall, and honestly, Zanzar, from there, they were just able to continue to transition it, especially as we got closer to the even bigger play of that Dragon.
Yeah, thanks for breaking that down. Sometimes I thought you were going to draw on that. But
well, okay, I'm going to be honest. We've gotten better at this. Ever since the Yamato tech versus technology incident, we've gotten way better at bailing out if anything goes wrong. So no shade, because it's nobody's fault. But we broke it. We broke it. We broke it.
You paid for it.
No, we don't pay. I don't think that's true. But we broke it, so we got the speed run version of what otherwise might have been a little bit slower content.
It was still super insightful, and I think that fight was super important. But as you said as well, the fight that was following is super cool as well. Zanza, as we take a look at the final fight, why did you say, oh, this one is actually not that impressive?
I think after Misfits got a Drake, then it's pretty like easy fight for them. And HiRit especially have a really good flank. Rock kind of playing not for fight. They're trying to get still a Drake. And as soon as Razork gets it, they're already out of the position. They get flanked by HiRit easily. Yes, Larssen had a good shockwave, but it was not enough to win.
And I think similarly, like, really well played across the board from Misfits, certainly, but they are the very clear favorites in this fight. You saw HiRit got to hold on to his ult. He didn't have to immediately ult Hansama. He could wait, used it on Larssen, then goes back to kill Hansama. Kobbe gets a beautiful ult to lock the Varus up, forces out a stopwatch, and by the time Hansama has stopwatched, the fight is already completely over.
It was, and the top side for Misfits now doing very well in this game. I want to pull up the draft and the draft order specifically, as we also have some great pictures of Razork and HiRit behind us, who were so influential. But Zanza, we saw an adaptation from Misfits coming into this draft. What were the most important decisions you think they made in terms of making the game play out the way it was?
Yeah, I think first of all, it's pick Camille 1-2, really important. HiRit, comfortable champ. He shows like he knows how to play this champ, how to carry it. So I think this was really good. And the most important thing, they get Zhao LeBlanc. I think one of the strongest mid jungle. And right now they were able to win mid jungle and just have control around the early game, I think. And this is what minus 15 was like equal game, and Rock was like usually get like 3k lead. And then we all know Misfits is pretty good in team fighting, and this is what we saw.
Absolutely, and I think the big thing that we see here is that previously they tried to set their bot lane up for success by banning a lot of champions away and picking Ashe. Now they are still banning some of those champions away, but they were willing to give up the Varus ban to sack bot lane more and and immediately prioritize topside. And this is so good that it worked for Misfits, because if this did not work, prioritizing topside, that's it. You don't really have any options left. But Kobbe and Vander held their ground against what should have been a much stronger rogue bottom side with the Varus Braum and really made it work. Downside for Misfits is I think that pretty much bot sides are just not going to exist for the rest of the game. Rogue will do the same thing. They won't need to prioritize AD carry. And if both sides just prioritize top side, we might be back in the situation that we were in game 1.
Yeah, so you think Rogue is going to make the adaptation and say, okay, if you're just going to put all your marbles, no, that's not correct, all your chips on all the draft and choose your top side in the first rotation, then we can do the same. So let's assume that is the case. Where do we get into then in this next game where Rogue is now on blue side, which they have selected, Sandra?
Yeah, I think Rogue should do the same what as Misfits do. Just pick top lane as first 3, just secure stronger jungler. If it's Xin is open, just first pick Zhao, and then just do the same what they did in first game. Just all around controlled game. They win mid, they win top, they win mid, they win bot, and then Misfits have no chance.
Is there no way for them to say, no, we're going to make our own meta in this game and we are going to prioritize the bot side? Because we know that Rogue adapts, you know, fluently to everything that is thrown at them.
I think the thing that Misfits are still doing is taking away the Kalista, which I believe in their eyes is the only champion that is so strong that it can just break bot lane wide open. And Varus, while it was good, they just kind of sat on their tower, they chilled. Once they got an advantage top side, it freed up Vander to roam. Xayah is a really hard champion to move out of lane when she has ultimate. So yes, Rogue can still try to break bottom lane, but I think that they know that pound for pound, they still have the stronger individual players on the top side. So if they just set them up for success with either winning matchups or even matchups, things will be a lot easier in the early game.
Let's see what happens. Misfits, they came back very strong in game 2, but we'll see if they have more aces up their sleeves as the series continues in just a few minutes.